people out there, welcome to Good Looks Production, tellusghana.com, our program that is called My Government Officials. As one of our core values, we want to go down to the people who elected our officials into parliament to know what exactly they want them to do for them, and also to appreciate them on what they have been doing. And today we have an honorable man. He is in the presence of Honorable Emmanuel Kwesi Bedzua. Honorable, you're welcome to...
Thank you very much, Amma, and the production team from Good Luck Production and TellUs.com.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Emmanuel Kwesi Bedzua. You said Kwesi. I'm not Kwesi, I'm Kwesi. Kwesi Bedzua. That's how my people pronounce it. You know, and they also call me Efoyima. Efoyima, that's my house name. I became a member of parliament in 2009 through a default because my predecessor decided that he would not run again. He was aging, he was growing, and needed somebody to take over. So I, who was in a line of action, was approached by the youth actually that they needed a younger person to take over.
And who was he?
Honorable Francis Abuche. He was the member of parliament from 2000 to 2008. 3 terms before I took over from him. And when I took over from him, I noticed that he was loved by the people. He did a lot of work. People, always mention his name. So I thought to myself that if it's such a huge man who has done so much for the constituency, and a young man who do not have any political history is taking over from him, what was I going to do to outdo him? Because everywhere I go, they kept mentioning his name. What was I going to do so that I also be remembered as serving my people? And so I noticed that one of the major problems in the constituency has to do with educational facility. So I decided to draw up my own program to deal with educational facilities. Not only educational infrastructure, but the holistic educational program. And so that was my main target. Education was my main target, and even till today, education has been my target, and I'll continue to work on education until I've been able to achieve my target and my objective.
Then we want you to mention the towns that falls under
Whole West principally is a collection of traditional areas. We have 16 traditional, or 16 paramounts, or 16 bigger chiefs. Some are paramounts, some are not paramounts. So we call them Fiagans. We have 16 traditional. So it's collection of these 16 traditional areas together to make the constituency. So you notice that the constituency, you move from other constituency and other municipalities into my constituency. I share border with Sojamine, I share border with North Tong, I share border with Adaklu, I share border with Central Tong, I share border with Whole Central, I share border with Afajato South, and I share border with South Dine. So about 6 or 7 constituencies share border. So I move sometimes from my constituency into another constituency and then back to my constituency again. That's how the place has been carved. So it is putting together of traditional area, comprised of Awudome traditional area, where I come from, Chito. Then you move to Henfi traditional area. We have Tondome traditional area. We have Palega or Pale traditional area. We have Saviepe traditional area. Amfoita traditional area. Then you go to Saviepe traditional area. Then Joloquita traditional area. Then we have the Dome traditional area. We have Akome traditional area. We have Peji traditional area. You have Holuta traditional area. You have Oita traditional area. Then Abutia, traditional area. And then Abatime traditional area. And Akoviepe traditional area. So principally there are 16 traditional areas that constitute the Whole West constituency. I believe I've mentioned all the 16 traditional areas.
And looking at the number, are you able to visit all of them? Are you able to visit them and send development to all these areas?
Yes.
And when was the last time you visited?
Even this Saturday. Last Saturday I was there. Every weekend I go. I'll be visiting again this Saturday. There are 2 traditional areas that will be celebrating the annual festival. One has to do with a Akome traditional area. They'll be having their development union day. And then Abatime traditional area, which is also one of the largest traditional area, will be celebrating their Amu festival. That is the brown rice festival. All falls on the same day, which will be the 10th of November. They'll be celebrating. So I'll have to be shuttling between here and here. Yes, I believe in the principle of delegation as leader. And so sometimes when I'm not able to go to a particular place because having 16 traditional areas, some of them will be celebrating their program or festival, and they invited me. I sometimes ask my constituency executives or my office. I have an office in Chito Town, constituency office, where I've employed about 4 people who work there, and everybody has a role to play. And based on that, I schedule them to go and represent me where I cannot go. I'll give you one example. Typical example was last Saturday. There was a program that I couldn't attend because I have to, as a caucus chairman for the whole Volta region, I have to attend on behalf of the caucus which happens in the south in Agloga area. So I represented the caucus there, the Volta caucus there, and the minority caucus as well. So because of that, I could not attend programs in my constituency. So I've delegated my people to go, which they represented me. My presence is always felt in a constituency.
Wow, that's great. So it means that you have constituency MP relationship.
Yes, I have constituency MP relationship. It is very important for your survival. I don't see why the people would vote for you and then you get to Accra, the center, and you don't have a relationship with them. Then it means that you are cutting yourself from your roots. I always say, I have this saying that I'm not here because of my own self. If it's because of me, I could have, 1 square meal a day and my family, we are done.
Yeah, but you are here because you are a quantity surveyor by profession. Yes. You have lived on your profession.
Yes, of course. But you are here to serve. And I believe that this work, it is a calling. If you're not calling to, you cannot do it. It's a calling, and I've been telling young people who want to come into politics that if you're not called, don't venture because you get frustrated along the line. There are issues that you cannot confront because you do good to people and they'll come back to say that you've not done very well. And if you're not careful, you get hurt and you get out of it. So it's a calling. Parliamentary work is a calling. It's a complete calling. It's a profession. You need to go in with your heart and your head. Yeah, the days that people insult you, you just have to move to your heart and say, well, if you say, thank you very much, I'm serving you, absorb it and continue moving on. So yes, I have that relationship with the constituent, and like I mentioned, when I get to the constituency now, I'm always in my local dress, and everybody, my sleepers, the focus, and I move around amongst them.
Okay, all right, Honorable. We would like to know the developmental projects that you've undertaken in your constituency.
Well, like I mentioned, I basically look at education and health as well, and then our agriculture. But let me start with education.
Okay.
I mentioned that we have 16 traditional areas.
Yes.
And we have 94 communities.
Ooh.
94 communities. So it means that every community deserves or needs something.
Yes.
My first year in Parliament.
That's 2009.
2009. We noticed that most communities in my area do not have electricity.
Okay.
That's rural education. So I managed, by the grace of God, to lobby for those places to be connected to the national grid. So we have Abutia area, especially those places that do not have electricity to, be connected to the national grid. Yes, it's left by only about 10 places now that we are working. Even that, we've written a letter, and we are hoping that we pass some financial agreement. Those places have also been accepted, and not I believe very shortly they'll also be connected to the national grid. So we are working on electricity largely. And then when it comes to water and sanitation, I have procured or managed as much as possible to get some communities borehole. Through my common fund, some through lobbying, the ministry, some through my, lobbying other agencies to be able to get water through borehole. There are 3 or 4 communities that also mechanize their borehole using my own common fund. Instead of allowing, getting borehole for them, they have existing borehole and we mechanize it. So you have a town where there's mechanization of the borehole that distribute water to supply to the community. So I've done that one too. And then in sanitation, I built close to about 10 toilets. You know,
Ooh.
Yes, 10 toilets. You have some KVIP and then some to biofuel.
Okay.
You know, my current decision is to build biofuel instead of KVIP, and also support communities that are building, you know, toilet facilities, that public toilet facilities. Support them with some building materials to be able to do that. And then also, when it comes to health, I've finished sanitation. When it comes to health, help some communities, those who have health facilities. One of them has to do with a town called Terapon, Dodoma Terapon. I love that town because the first time I went there, when a woman was giving birth, you know, delivering, I noticed that it was just a land crate building, you know, Apata building kind of thing, and I wasn't too happy that all. So I promised them that I'll use my health insurance fund to build a maternity block. From today they have it.
Wow.
But they are using it because they don't have OPD, they don't have any consulting room, so they are using what I've built as consulting room and OPD. So there's no maternity block. I hear an NGO has started building, and I promised I was going to buy roofing sheet to complete it for them. I love that town because they believe in development. They believe that when you give them material, they work. You know, do the work, communal labor themselves. So I did a lot of work in that town, and people sometimes ask, why is it, you know, if you have about 7 different towns,
and
7
concentrating on
in one traditional area at that place, and I kept telling them that, well, this Terapon people, anytime you give them material, you work. But that does not mean that I've not worked in other towns within that traditional. We've done a lot of work in those traditional areas. So clinic, yes, even my hometown, Chito, and also they are building an OPD, and I promised that I was going to supply them roofing sheets to complete it. And then there's a community that is far away from town. They live at the outskirts of Abutia area. Where it's called Abutia Betako. I started building what we call the CHIPS compound for them, where they are very far from health center, which is located in Abuja itself or North Town. I've decided to build a health center there, and also ask them that they will give me one person who has qualified to go to a health to do other health assistant programs, and I'll sponsor the person to mount the place because it is in a remote part, and nobody would like to stay there. But I'm building this. I've not completed. I'm sure by hopefully I have some fund there. We'll complete it for them. For them to have a health facility. We've done the cable, it's left the roofing, and then we'll continue. And then when you come to other parts, Akome traditional area, they have a health facility there. I was able to support them to renovate the whole health facility. Go to Joloquita, there's a health facility. I use my NHIS to support them to finish it. You come to the main health administration itself. I supply them with about 4 motorbikes for the delivery of health facilities. You know, for the workers there to be able to do health extension to places in the area. Recently, Jolo itself, Jolo government, also built or renovated their maternity block. I also supply, I give them at least 2,500 or so, some funds to be able to support them.
So where do you get all this money from?
Well, you see, you have intervention funds, and that's what a lot of people don't know. We have what we call the NHIS intervention fund for MPs. We have what we call a common fund for MPs. We have the GET fund, you know, some small location, you know, for MPs annually, and then you have the common fund. So, health, NHIS is supposed to go to health. GET fund is supposed to go to education, and common fund is supposed to be for the intervention. Whilst we have what we call the social intervention fund, small monies to support you as you go around. And
I'm asking this because a lot of people, a lot of MPs will say MP does not construct roads, MP does not build schools, MP does not build health facilities. So I'm wondering where how you are able to do all these.
MPs are not supposed to be doing all. We are not development agents. But you see, in the course of our duty, as you go around, people will request for some of these things. You can't say because I don't do it, therefore I will. If it's a major project, that you have to lobby. And I'll tell you, most of the projects that I lobby, when it comes to road projects in my constituency that has been done, I do not use any of these funds to do it. I have to lobby my colleagues who are ministers to build roads for me. And they will come to those roads, and you realize I will change my tone that I would say I love you. So there is lobbying that you lobby your people to do it, and there is also where you have invested your funds. You could have used it somewhere else. And I know some people who were not able to come back to Parliament did not use their funds very well. If you don't use your funds very well, your people will not retain you, they will not bring you back, because you have not used judicially use the funds that have been committed to you to use for the benefit of the people.
Because you're the governor of the people, and if they turn around and they don't see health facility, they don't see schools, why would they maintain you?
So when it comes to social intervention, you notice that most of the people, especially the youth, they like congregating around either playing spa or those who are riding motor. I was able to build what we call a shed for them. Where those motor riders will rest, and then about 3 or 4 sheds around. So you see them.
One at Jolopita, right?
One at Jolopita, one at Jolo, one at Bame.
We saw one at Jolo.
And one at Vane. And the recent one we're about to do is at Fueta. All over. The youth request that you should do it. And I kept telling them, when it's money, I don't promise, when it's money, we'll do it. If there's no money, we'll wait. So, when it goes to my hometown, for instance, the market, you realize that there's a small market called Anglo-Koji. I have to secure funds through common fund to be able to re-roof those places. It's been done by Honorable Abuche, but for for a long time the maintenance coach, and so I have to re-roof those places for them. So let's come to my major one, which has to do with the.
I was talking about the markets. Yesterday we happened to be in the markets, and the people there, most of them were saying that they need capital, they need money to. So we should tell Honorable. Probably Honorable will set up maybe a fund or something for them to tap into it, use it, and probably return it for some other person to also be able to use it.
Anyway, that's a laudable idea. I've not thought of it. Maybe I will have to discuss with my DC whether I can use part of my common fund to do that. Most of the funds that come, I do not disburse it myself. It goes into my account, the MP's account, and I write for the investment by the DC. So if the DC approves that we should use it to support our women, we'll do that, and then it becomes a rotating fund. That's good. But you see, you're looking at other competing needs. You have been around recently, and some towns folks have requested for a lot of things. People have requested even for community centers. Some have requested for communication equipment. I've so far provided close to about 13 to communication equipment, where you have the horn, the gong beaters. Now this say they will not beat gong again. So they want to have a communication equipment where they will make announcement every morning through public address system. And we provided quite a lot in various towns through the use of the common fund. So the microfinancing, yes, we'll look at it, but that will also depend on the competing need of the people. And you see, the problem I will have there is that this is MP's money. People do not know that these funds are basically for government, and that it's supposed to be used for the benefit of all of them. Now, if you give it to an individual as a microfinancing, some will even think that, this is MP's money, we don't need to pay back. So if you're not careful, you will tend, the good thing you want to do will tend to be not. So there's that challenge. We need to think through it and see how best we can. However, there are local banks, other banks, and loans and savings schemes are all over. I remember some, I think First Allied Service Bank came to me, and I have to introduce them to the market but they were also saying their interest rate was so high, they will not be able to. So there are facilities there actually, but they want the MP's own to come.
Probably the MP would have to bring strong and tight conditions, so that when you get it, you definitely have to return it for another person to.
It's going to be difficult, but I will not rule it out. We'll think through it. within 3. So thank the woman who has, I've jotted it down.
Okay.
We'll see what we can do. I'm not promising, but we'll see what we can do about it. We can engage them and see whether they will give me the modalities of payment. I will engage them. It's good that you've given me that head up, and I will engage them and see what we can do. Now, getting to education. Education is one of the key areas that I mentioned earlier that I'm so much interested in. And it's not a passion alone that is driving me, but because I've noticed that most of our young people do not have, they are not doing very well in terms of their results. And it's been a sort of worry to me. If my area alone, the 16 traditional areas, have 25 electoral areas, political electoral areas, and you have 64 junior high schools. Junior high school alone, 64 of them. And then senior high school, you have 10 senior high schools. 7 senior high school, 2 technical schools. So 9. 7 government senior high schools, 2 technical schools, and then 1 community senior high school, which is private. 10 of them. 10. And then you have 1 college of education. And the result of the BEC was nothing to write home about. Then you have a problem. So the first thing I did was to, being the patron of student association called VOSA, Volta Student Association, I engaged them and decided to sponsor them yearly to do what we call voluntary teaching in my community. So they started that. The first time they went in 2014, they came out with a report. The report they gave me was that we needed to get the foundation right. You know, getting the foundation right means that what was going wrong is not because the people are not good, but the foundation was not right. So they decided we should have what we call a scheme that will motivate them. So we started, what we call BASAC, or Basic Education Quiz Program, to motivate students. That's how BASAC started. So for the past 5-6 years, I've been running BASAC. And the final quiz comes on the 5th of March, before the 6th independent, and every school, receive an award. Before the introduction of the free senior high school, the school that wins, that's the 3 people that goes to
the first, second, third.
No, the first student and the first school are giving some prize. The school itself will be giving prizes, and the students are giving scholarship to go to senior high school, to further wherever they want to go. They are given from my common fund. But now we have free senior high school. I'm so happy to say that we took over. When I took over, the results were less than 50%. We were not having, but now there's no 0%. Everybody has moved to. In fact, when we had stakeholders conference about 2 months ago, the district director of education was so elated. He said, for the first time, we have 100% in all the BECs, basic school. And the guy who won this year, who won, in fact, he was the second runner-up last year. And this year he won. The guy said he was going to win. I heard when he couldn't win last year, he went home crying. This year he won. He had 6 ones.
6 ones, wow.
I mean, the guy did extremely well. In whole West, 6 ones. And so it shows clearly that the BASAC competition,
really
which is bringing competition amongst them and motivating, is really motivating them, and they're doing very well at the BET level. It's a joy to me. I mean, I'm not doing it for my personal gain, but I'm doing it because I think that education brings development.
And it's key.
Yes. So with that, I'm sponsoring that BASAC quiz program. I've also developed a scholarship scheme program to bring on board medical personnel, those who have won, who got admission at other nursing training college or medical schools. Some of them were given scholarship to go through, And so far we've trained about 35, nurses, from Akumu, from an NHIS fund.
Okay.
We were able to train them, and they are bonded. You are bonded to serve in the constituency.
Okay, so you can't run away.
You can't run away. It's only the medical officers, 2 of them.
Okay.
One is in her final year. She's at UDS final year, who will be graduating this year. The other one has graduated already. He's doing what we call housemanship. We don't have a hospital in Ho West, so he's doing housemanship at Kolebu. So that he's supposed to come to Ho West to work. It's an arrangement that I have with them. But
that's great.
All of them came together to form what we call the KEP Health Foundation Brigade.
Okay, those that you gave scholarship to, they've come together.
They want to give back to society. So they form what we call KEP Health Foundation.
Okay.
It's an NGO.
Okay. All right, viewers, we want to remind you that this program has been made possible by Royal Lady Sanitary Pad. Honorable, please continue for me.
Yeah, so the story is that the first graduate, those who I sponsored, decided that they benefited from society, they benefited from the use of MP's fund. Why don't you put ourselves together to form a brigade, kind of a brigade, to give back to society? So every quarter, I procure medical, medicines for them. And then they go to a community that they decide to go.
Okay.
And then they do collaboration with the district health directorate. The district health director has also joined them. The district medical officer has also joined them.
Whoa.
This Friday, that's tomorrow, this Friday, they'll be at Amu Festival, where they'll be screening free of charge all those who are celebrating the Amu Festival there. So I appreciate them, and I want to thank them so much. They have now decided to register. So they register. It used to be called Ho West Health Brigade.
Okay.
But because they said they want to honor me, they changed to KEP. KEP means Kwesi Emmanuel Bejura. KEP Foundation. So they have that there, and they are managing. They have also gone into collaboration with a university in Netherlands. Okay. So Netherlands, that school sends a lot of students who also joins them once a year to do health screening and also do training at the various health facilities. Ghana AIDS Commission has also accepted them, and they do health education, health talk to senior high schools within their constituency and outside the constituency. The last time they even went as far as to other constituencies to do health talk on AIDS and HIV prevention.
Well, with this, Honorable, with this, I think even if you retire, you will be a happy man.
Yes, yes, I'll be a happy man.
Because with these people, coming together to give back to society with your name on it and as an association and all that, I mean, you've impacted in their lives.